Part 2.
Can we go around and say like our top 6 Star Wars movies?
I mean,
six.
I feel like there's
right.
gonna be a lot of overlap, but sure. Go ahead, Tony. You start as our guest.
Okay, A New Hope, number 1 by a million miles. And this is favorite, not best. Just gotta throw that qualifier in there.
Personal opinion.
Star Wars: The Motion Picture,
Thank you.
number 1 by a million miles. Very closely behind it, Return of the Jedi.
Return is number 2. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Is it the Luke and Vader stuff that really just elevates it above Empire? Like that showdown?
No, it's a little more lighthearted. Like it's more fun. Like Empire is really dark and really serious, and that makes for like an excellent film. But if I'm like gonna sit down to watch something 9 times, well, maybe 7 times out of 10, I want to like watch the A-Wing kamikaze into the Star Destroyer.
Yeah, you don't want to
watch one of our heroes get taken out of play, maybe forever.
Get to the cliffhanger and then be like, all right, that was a great experience watching a movie. People did have the same reaction back in the day. They didn't like the twist and they didn't like the fact that it was just a cliffhanger and there was no resolution.
Yeah.
Like,
And
just wait
those
3 years.
choices
Come
are what
on.
makes it so good. But, you know,
If the Star Wars trilogy original was made today, they would do like, we shot the first one, it did well. We're going to shoot 5 and 6 or 2 and 3, whatever, back to back. It's all going to be one production. And that way we can do them 1 year after the other. But like you would think that you make the first Star Wars movie and we're going to make the sequel. It shouldn't be that difficult, but it was actually like 10 times more difficult because they had to make it even bigger and more impressive and not repeat themselves and all that. So, but then, Return of the Jedi has a second Death Star. So what are you going to do?
yeah, blow it up again. So top 3, motion picture, Return of the Jedi, Empire, number 4, Andor, number 5, or Rogue One, number 5.
A 24-hour long movie.
Yeah.
Yes,
a movie.
No,
You can watch it in a day. Just don't sleep.
number 5, The Phantom Menace, number 6, Revenge of the Sith. The third one.
Right.
Revenge of the Sith.
You would rank Phantom Menace above Revenge of the Sith.
I would, yeah. It's kind of same thing as 4 and 5. Like 3 is probably a better movie, but 1
Hey,
is
kids,
kind
let's
of
put on the
unburdened
genocide
by the
movie.
heaviness. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the pod race. I think Jake
That is-
Lloyd
it was fun.
is a cute 9-year-old. I don't know. It's fun.
Of course, it's fun. It spawned like.
And I
how
was
many
9.
video
Like
games?
I was 9 when it came out.
When you're 9 years old, you're not going. He's actually ripping off Sergio Leone, or not.
That's
Sergio
right.
Leone. He's actually ripping off Ben-Hur from 1959 with the chariot race. He's taking a lot of inspiration. Like,
Yeah, the only Ben I gave a shit about when I was 9 was Ben Quadraneros, and I named my son after him. Just kidding. If my wife watches this, I'm just kidding.
I was going to say Ben Kenobi.
She's not gonna. We're in the third
I
hour
had
of
to
talking
remember-
about Star Wars.
I had to remember who that
watch
was. The little green, like acorn-shaped guy on Tatooine.
No, he was the
one of
dude
pod
with the
racers?
4 engines that never launches.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
But isn't he just like a short little like green round M&M looking guy? But he's like a fish also. I don't. Yeah.
No,
That guy.
I don't
that's
think
a different
so.
guy. I think you're thinking of a different guy.
Nope. I'm thinking of him. It's the right guy. They're wrong. I'm right.
I used to have the pod racing game on Dreamcast.
Also an
And
excellent game.
That was fucking awesome.
The only time I
did
ever
know
played
all
it was
these
the
pod
arcade.
racers, all the names at one point. But now I just remember Sebulba.
Wait, Sebulba's the best Star Wars character.
Sebulba!
He's great.
He's like if the Tasmanian devil did like hard drugs or something to where it's
Yeah.
not like manic and
Yeah.
tornado-y all the time.
He's a
just
Doug,
like,
a very dangerous Doug.
He's like Dennis Rodman. That's what Sebulba's like.
He's the Dennis Rodman.
We
of
need
pod
more
racing.
Sebulba in the expanded universe. I want to know what his drug bender was like after he lost that race.
It's just a matter of time before we get the Sebulba show.
Sebulba and Jar Jar
Can't
team
wait.
up to be like, that fucking kid. We helped that fucking kid ruined the galaxy. I helped him. You tried to stop him. But together we can stop him. So Jar Jar actually does
I
end
can
up
only
being
hope.
the hero. And then we can help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I can only hope that we get a Sebulba and Jar Jar miniseries, please. Disney Plus. It's only going to cost $350 million.
Disney, if you're
on.
listening, make the Pod Racer sports mockumentary.
Yeah, actually,
Kathleen
that'd be
Kennedy,
great.
Let's make the sports drama.
They do show that it's not even a spoiler. In Andor, they showed that there's like daytime television, like Good Morning America, but it's Good Morning Coruscant. Just like if you've established that, make me a pod racing mockumentary.
I need the ESPN.
Interdimensional.
I need the 30 for 30 about Clegg Holdfast.
No, the 30 for 30 about Anakin Skywalker. Or it's like Senna, where it's like half the time it's actually about the other, like about Sebulba, but like Anakin was the one that it was the audience favorite. Or is it more like Rocky, where he's the underdog and Apollo Creed is more of a Sebulba type? Is that the first time that sentence has ever been spoken?
Yes.
It is.
Apollo Creed more of a Sebulba type?
An intersection never once before crossed.
Wouldn't it be
Carl Weathers was in Star Wars. He was in The Mandalorian.
That's true.
Anyway.
Wouldn't it be so great, though, if, like, you know that new F1 movie that's coming out with Brad Pitt?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you've seen the trailer for that, like, imagine that trailer, that same stylistic choice, all the stylistic choices that are made there, but for Sebulba in a pod race.
And it's like...
How fucking cool would that be?
And it's like I, Tanya, where it's told from the loser's perspective.
Yeah.
That would rule.
It'd be so good. Just, like, take it so seriously. Like, make it an Oscar movie.
But the problem is that he's not even really subtitled, is he? Like, maybe a few times.
I know he says Slimo every now and again.
I guess he is, because he has a conversation with Anakin at least once or twice before the race. So I was going to say, thankfully he's subtitled and it doesn't end up like the Star Wars holiday special where
40
no
straight
subtitles.
Minutes of that.
Yeah. You're watching CBS.
That's a great entrant into the Star Wars canon.
Well, okay, now let's talk about it, because we have time to kill, and it was the first Star Wars that came out after the first movie. So,
Greg, you're supposed to list your top 6 Star Wars.
I'll do it very quickly. Star Wars the Motion Picture, Empire Strikes Back, I think I gotta go Return of the Jedi, and then I would actually go Force Awakens, then Episode 3. And then, shit.
No Attack of the Clones in the top 6?
Yeah, you're
the movie that made you want to be a filmmaker.
A movie that inspires you to be a filmmaker doesn't have to be a good movie. You know how many people were inspired by The Last Voyages of Sinbad? I feel like if you rewatch that movie now, it would not hold up. But like,
fair,
it brought us Steven Spielberg.
And I'm constantly inspired by Neil Breen. So
yeah, well, you're not a little child, a little impressionable boy. Unfortunately, he didn't make his first movie until Revenge of the Sith came out, and you were what, 30?
I was 46. I was actually older than what I am now. Somehow that happened.
Shuts out.
Right, sure. Older than you are now, right.
So wait, what's the last one on your list?
Wait, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 3, and then Rogue One, honestly.
Nice.
I mean, just
the first
based
40
on
minutes
a quality
aren't so bad after all.
Or maybe Solo.
This is awesome.
But Solo's just so forgettable that I can't even rank it above Rogue One. At least Rogue One, they're like, we're going to redo the end of Return of the Jedi, and it's going to be even cooler. And you're like, sweet, let's do it. Yeah, I guess. It's just, that just shows you the decline of this franchise over time, that I can't even name a top 6 without being like, the one I don't give a shit about?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's Star Wars for you. No, but my point about Attack of the Clones, yeah, like it just because it was the one that inspired me doesn't mean it had to be good. Like it wasn't even really about the quality of the film. It was the scale of the production and the amount of man hours and
like the CGI pair.
Yes. Stuff like that you're just like, how did they do that? It wasn't fishing wire. It couldn't have been. Actually, that's a 3D pair. It's not even real. We took a whole bunch of pictures of one pair just so that we could make it in a computer.
It cost us $1 million.
Money well spent.
Yeah.
What's interesting about
yes.
Just while we're on the CGI thing, you can list your top 6, but real quick, I just want to say the only actual digital effects that were in the original theatrical Star Wars are the like Death Star plans when they're at the base on the screen. That little graphic was the only thing that a computer actually made. And I want to say that the the targeting computer interface is also digital. but those are the only two elements, and everything else was done completely practically or with like an optical printer. So just like 3 or 4 layers just mushed together. That's how you get the lasers and the lightsabers and whatnot. And now it's everything. Actually, now it's like people are like excited when you tell them that we mostly did things practically, and then like it's like, well, it's you still took the blue screens away. Like, let's not kid ourselves. You still animated the hell out of that spaceship landing. Every single time a spaceship lands, we have to see it in its entirety, and we can't cut away. We can't just know that they landed. You can't just show them go, okay, they're there. No, we have to go.
No. You got to see the dust kick up from the ground.
That's right.
You have to see the gears of like, we touched the ground. The zero gravity is, we turned off the artificial zero gravity on the ship. Now we can walk around on the planet.
Can't take this stuff seriously unless you put that stuff in, Greg.
Yeah. Okay, top 6, Jordan, go.
Okay, well, it's pretty obvious. It's going to be Empire is the top. Then it's going to be the motion picture Star Wars. Then it's going to be Return of the Jedi. Then it's going to be Rogue One. Then it's going to be Force Awakens. And then it's actually going to be the one that I can never remember the name of, the Rian Johnson one.
Last Jedi.
Because the fucking nihilism of that film, I just have to appreciate.
Yeah.
It is the punk rock entry in the series. It's just like the middle finger to everything else.
People really shit on that one. But
I have to give it props for that.
It's a mixed bag for me, That's why I can't entirely dismiss it. Like, if it was just a bit better, I would probably make it my 6th. Because, I mean, like, there's stuff in that movie where I'm, like, moments that happen where I'm just like, yes, finally they did that thing that they could have done, but it wasn't like, such a fanboy.
They shot a lightsaber through someone's head. That's what everyone's been talking about since the dawn of time. Well, why don't you just put it up to someone's head and fucking turn it on?
Because Jedis don't kill unless it's in self-defense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it was so super cool. I was so
I also
happy.
want to point out that The Last Jedi rips off Ryan versus Dorkman, the fan film, when they're like they're like both trying to force pull the same lightsaber, and it's like stuck in midair. Now in The Last Jedi it explodes, but in the fan film one of them lets him go and then uses the force to turn it on and stab it as it's floating towards the guy who's trying to grab it.
Sick. That's sick.
That's and they ripped it off. So fuck them. But no, but the point is the good stuff in Last Jedi is like for me, one thing I really liked was something that people really meme on and shit on a lot. Princess Leia doing her Mary Poppins surviving after the space explosion thing. I like that because of the simple fact that one line in Return of the Jedi set up that she's force sensitive. You know what I mean? Like, it's implied that she could be as powerful as Luke because she shares the same genetic makeup of midichlorians or whatever, that Anakin was able to, fly his X-Wing into Padme's Death Star and make twins. So, like, the fact that they did that, I was like, thank you! Finally! Like, instead of just her being some, like, bureaucrat who can't get a second government going after the defeat of the Empire, like, yes, she is still a Skywalker at the end of the day. Like, thank you for acknowledging that. But also, why did you let the slave horses go and then not take them much further than they could be herded back to the racetrack? I don't understand why you thought that was like some sort of a salute. Why'd you even do that in the first place? Just get out of there. You know they're going to be recaptured anyway. Like, I get thematically and symbolically or whatever what they were trying to do, but it's like there's so much stuff like that in the movie where you're just like, we don't need to do that. But then the rule of cool also takes over when you're just like, damn, I never thought about kamikazing someone with hyperspeed. That's fucking metal. Like, that's sick. Even if that character is dumb as a box of rocks in the way that she's written. I mean, Laura Dern obviously is a legend, but, like, they just written in the most frustrating way possible. Just for the payoff of that moment where you're like, that is cool. Did we really need the last 45 minutes, though, to get to this point? Like, could we not have done that a lot earlier? Like,
it would have been cool no matter what.
But people point out
it's kind of like a surprise.
It's like a Star Trek TV episode, almost. Like, the Enterprise is in a slow speed pursuit with the Borg cube, and they have to get away before the Borg cube assimilates them all. Like, but we're doing it in the Star Wars universe. That's like how that movie sort of plays out. So that's why I think a lot of it feels more like that than it actually does a movie, especially when you tack on that last 30 minutes on the salt planet and the forest ghost projection, which, again, kind of cool, but also like a little silly in the way they pull it off. And is there a reason why Yoda had to burn down the sacred Jedi texts with lightning? Except he didn't, because I guess Rey grabbed them at the last second and stowed them on the Falcon before she took off.
See, all these questions, though, is why I like it, because it's like, it just felt like such a fuck you to J.J. Abrams, where it's just like, what you gonna do now, bro? How are you gonna get out of this thing?
Okay, let's see.
I just threw this wrench into the fucking works.
Lawrence Kasdan and Irvin Kershner didn't say, fuck you, George. We're gonna make our version of Star Wars. No, they kept going. He was there and being like...
Well, yeah, totally, and that's good for the original trilogy, because that was all gold. But I mean, like, things were pear-shaped right off the off the bat.
You're Disney. You know you're going to make a trilogy of Star Wars movies. Do you not write all three down before you hit record on the camera?
It's so insane that they didn't at all
I can't
plan that
believe
out.
They
It's
didn't.
And literally, the original trilogy is the exact example you can point to demonstrate why it worked, because he had all three of those story arcs planned out in advance. And all this expanded universe and prequels and sequel shit we can complain about is.
But that's why you should like The Last Jedi even more, because it's almost like, you know, it's a direct reaction to the fact that they didn't plot out a trilogy. It's like, well, if you're not going to plan it, then well, why don't I just fucking do all
on a
this
meta
shit?
narrative, there is some sort of like ironic enjoyment in that aspect, and maybe
Like,
you could, in the
what's his
same
name,
way that you can view it in the
Snoke?
frame of it being about sex of the first one. Yeah, like I get it. I get what point you're trying to make, but at the same time, that's not satisfying to watch as someone who's like, oh man, this first movie, it might have stolen a lot of, or not repurposed a lot of stuff from Star Wars motion picture, but they set up stuff that's going to pay off in the next movie and it's going to be great. And then they're like, fuck all that shit. It's like, okay, well, you can't even blame J.J. Abrams from the mystery box stuff. You didn't even bother trying to find the box to discover what mystery he was trying to set up. Yeah. So it's both of your faults in the end, especially because J.J. Abrams comes in the next time and be like, no, fuck you. Like, I'm going to undo everything you did, asshole. Like, it's just two
but he did
dickheads fighting over the same...
Yeah.
Two kids with the same tub of Star Wars action figures going, no, mine.
Yeah, that's exactly.
We're gonna do my story, or I'm gonna tell your mom to come pick you up. Your mom, Kathleen Kennedy is gonna come pick you up.
Yeah, Kathleen Kennedy's gonna.
Yeah, no, and 100%. It's like, it's not the kids' fault for fighting; it's the parents for not giving them enough toys. I like Rian Johnson as a director. He has good ideas. He makes cool shit. Brick is like one of my favorite movies.
Even the Knives Out movies need a co-writer. God damn it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll cop to that. But like, we said it. I don't know how Disney, being so calculated that they are in everything that they do. Yeah. And they were like, yeah, let's just get like a couple kind of auteur directors to do whatever the fuck they want.
That's
and
it.
We'll see how it plays
out. Whoa.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
What is happening?
I don't know why that happened. That's your phone going, wrap it up, guys.
That's the official hot take Zoom of the day, I guess.
Whoa.
That's amazing. So good.
All right. Let's talk about the most important aspect of Star Wars, and that is the scene transitions. How do you guys feel about star wipes? They don't even really use a real star wipe, but they use like irises to go to the credits, and like
they use like some side wipe transition.
But I've always found that like that's a weird thing for people to get hung up on. I've never noticed that. Like even the newest Mission Impossible movie kind of did that, in a way that people were talking about it. They're like, "What was up with that?" I'm like, honestly, if it's done subtly enough, I'm not going to linger on it, because it's just how do we get from this to the next scene instead of doing a cut. Like in Mission Impossible, it's like it kind of just like irises in on someone's face, holds for a few seconds, and then closes. And it's like, yes, that is kind of a weird way to do an iris in, but it's also like, I can't say I've ever seen that before. But it's like, were people doing wipes other than just dissolves? Because how do you even do a wipe on film? You know what I mean? How do you physically do that? Are you sitting there cutting like?
I think about a lot of old films that are just edited by cutting stuff, and I'm like, how the fuck do you do any of these transitions?
Yeah,
you know, like even just a dissolve.
The dissolve seemed like do you make 10 different reels, and then each one is a different opacity, and then you just go clip, next reel, clip,
that's
clip.
Insane.
Oh yeah.
So again, credit to George Lucas for inventing Edit Droid, which then led to stuff like Video Toaster and Premiere and Windows Movie Maker and Final Cut and Avid, more importantly, that made it so we don't have to do this shit anymore.
Thank God.
We don't have to. I mean,
wouldn't be able to make any content.
If anything, you can also credit that to why so many things were changed retroactively about this first movie. Is because he had to physically edit everything. That's why it took 3 people, including his ex-wife, to actually make it as methodically structured and paced as it needed to be to work. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's like they had a certain date it had to be done by. So you can't just sit there and, oh, well, I'll just load up the Premiere project and make a couple little trims and I'll be done in a couple years. You know, like, so, like, you can argue that having those limitations of time and the physical process of editing the film led to things that he wanted to change later because they just couldn't do anything about it. And I can understand as a filmmaker why that would gnaw at you. Like, gonna bring up the documentary I made again. Took me almost 2.5 years from start to finish. And a lot of that was editing, just straight up. And it's because I wanted to make it as good as possible. That being said, I made an arbitrary date for myself to just be like, look, let's just get this thing done and out and over with. Even then, I was still working right up until the deadline to get it done to make sure that it was presentable. And I can look back on it almost 2 years later and be like, oh, I'd change that. I'd put that over here. You know, I could use this audio program and make this sound a little bit better. Like, coming from the filmmaker's standpoint, I understand. That being said, I have a little thing that George Lucas doesn't have, which is restraint. I also don't have millions of dollars to tell people to fuck off when they question my creative decisions. So, I mean, there's that. But it's also like, 4,000 people maybe saw my documentary on YouTube. I didn't make $300 million in like 3 months or whatever. It's the biggest thing ever. And everyone in the world has to see it and make their movies based off of what people expect now because of this one movie that everyone thought was going to flop. That's the funny thing, is that this was a fluke almost that worked out. It just happened to be at the exact right place and time that everyone went, yes, more of that, always and forever, until we're dead.
And then beyond.
And beyond. When we're ghosts and we're still hanging out like, hey.
When we're force ghosts.
You need some advice? You look a little stressed out. Can I give you some tips? Then you can go to the third act and save the day. Tony, would you, let's say the Force is real, but you don't find out until you're worm food or whatever. Would you want to have the option to be a Force ghost and just show up on Earth and communicate with people, or would you want to just let them figure it out themselves, you know?
I would like to be a Force ghost.
Okay.
There it is.
What are we looking at?
Is this the same one you have?
No, I have the original theatrical cut.
Oh, you son of a bitch! You know this is so
Tony.
irritating.
You have the 95 one, and Jordan.
Yep.
That's like what,
one last time.
98. Yep. And I want. Did they announce that they were like we're doing these special editions that far in advance when they made the one last time VHS set?
I mean, I was 5 when I got this, so I don't remember the marketing around it.
Tell us in detail.
Jordan, you were in college. Can you tell us?
I mean, this came from a library. It would appear, because it says due date. And a bunch of different.
At first, I thought that was like some weird, like Japanese, like scan sticker from a store. Like, this is a Japanese VHS.
That's so cool.
No, it's
good artifact.
Oh, that's true. That's how we'll wrap it up. I will list all the different physical copies I had as a kid and how they evolved. So we started with, I believe, the special edition VHS, which is the one Jordan has, but like probably a few years after that. And then the special edition DVD from 2004 with the silver finish and the metallic, like, cover and all that. And then I can't even remember what they were, how you would specify them, but they were like, they redid the special editions on DVD in 2006, but then they also had a second disc with each of them that had the laser disc rip of the theatrical versions, but just like a hard letterboxed, like 4x3, And you could only watch it in like really crappy resolution, but it was the original, and you can see the white matte outlines on the TIE fighters and Return of the Jedi and all that if you really want to. And then 2011 rolled around, and by this time I was aging out of it, so it was just like my family got the Blu-ray set just for posterity's sake, and of course HD is the way of the future. We got to have them in HD. And now Disney Plus exists, so nothing else really makes a difference. Although I'm never going to go and just be like, yes, let's watch the McClunky version of Star Wars on Disney Plus. If I want to watch the movie, I'm going to be like, okay, let me go through the extra effort of pulling up this fan edit that puts it back to how it should be so that I can appreciate and not be distracted by all of that. But it's also impossible not to be, because it's a retroactive thing. So I'm going to be like, well, they changed this, instead of just being like, what a movie. It's impossible to separate all that. So it's like, I guess really the point I'm trying to make is that wouldn't it be great if you could just go back and watch Star Wars again for the first time?
Yes.
Just have none of that cynicism and extra shit. Just like, hey, this is a movie called Star Wars. Sit down and watch it. You gotta see it. And just being blown away by it. Like, I can't imagine the people in this generation that didn't grow up with the prequels and go through the disappointment of the sequels and all that. Like, to them, there's like a sizable number of the population, believe it or not, who haven't sat down and watched the Star Wars because they have other stuff to do. So when you meet someone that's like, oh, I've never seen Star Wars, when you're a kid, you're like, what? Everyone's seen Star Wars. But then you grow up and you're like, yeah, all right. So I envy them is the thing. Like, that, I mean, I don't envy them that they didn't grow up with the awesome, superior toys, like my Hasbro lightsaber. Have you seen the lightsaber toys they sell now? They're cheap little pieces of shit.
Garbage.
Like, people thought these were cheap? Good Lord. Like, I can't even imagine.
Toys in general are getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
Man. Like, it's crazy.
And kids don't want to play with them anymore because A, they suck, and B, iPads exist.
Everything's digital, yeah.
Yeah, man.
This is 97, by the way. So what it says at the
97. So it was like right after the theatrical re-releases. Yeah. I'm interested in how that would have worked. Did you buy one ticket for all? Was it like, we're releasing the Star Wars, or I guess A New Hope, since it's a special edition, like from this weekend to this weekend, and then it's gone, and then we're doing Empire or was it like all three are out in the same theater and you just buy a ticket to which one you want to see? I don't know. I wasn't there. I was sitting in diapers. I don't know.
I thought there were kind of big gaps between those maybe not whole years, but I mean,
well, no, they were all 97.
I don't think they were all at the same time.
They wouldn't have done a summer, like, because that's what they're doing with those Beatles biopics. At first, it seemed like they were going to stagger them, but now they're literally doing all four on the same day. So you walk up to the ticket counter and you go, let me get a Ringo.
I only want Ringo.
I think you can credit George Lucas all you want for these movies. The universe he created, the characters, and all of that. Give him his dues. He financed and changed and created a lot of things that have improved the world, but also made a lasting impression on people's lives. But he had a lot of collaborators, including, there you go, John Williams.
$5.99. There it is.
It's a steal. I like the sticker over Yoda's face.
Well, there's like 4 stickers on this thing for some reason.
What are those bottom two? 2063?
These are just numbers.
Inventory numbers for when they're just looking through bins.
This is the 2063rd fucking copy of the shitty movie.
That's not that unreasonable. Sold a shitload of units. No, I was going to say John Williams. We have not once talked about John Williams this whole time. And I feel like you can't have Star Wars without John Williams doing the original score.
Very iconic score.
Even when he's 90 and Disney's like, please, just one more little motif for this TV show and then we'll leave you alone forever, I promise.
Yeah.
But this original score, man, it is just obviously, like, it's what everyone knows. Like, there's a reason that George Lucas went, no, make sure that it was either George or John Williams, I can't remember. One of them had the idea to be like, make sure that the opening 20th Century Fox logo and the theme song are the same key so that they just flow right into each other and it blows people away. And of course, that first big note just goes, like, yes, it's here, it's Star Wars. It's time to have your mind blown.
Is it a hot take to say that the most important decision Lucas made when he was putting the movie together was to not have like a synth sci-fi soundtrack.
Yeah, but also he was gonna rip off 2001 and in more ways than one, and do like a soundtrack that was just like, you know, royalty-free classical music recordings, which I think probably is what led to him being like, no, let's get more of like a grand operatic, like original thing. And John Williams like took that task so seriously. He was like, I'm going to take all these different elements from like different like African music. There's some stuff in there like jizz, if you will. And just like it blends it all together, and it's like some of the most basic stuff. Like there's one scene that I think it's one of the most iconic scenes in Star Wars, and really it's what helps like nail home the heart of it and the soul that's inside of it and the midichlorians that keep that soul alive. Is the scene where Luke is, you know, trying to leave. He just has dinner with Uncle and Owen and Aunt Beru, R.I.P. And they tell him that he can't go and join the, the Imperial forces or whatever, the rebellion or whatever Biggs ended up doing. Diggs. And then he goes out and he just looks at the sunset. He's just so despondent. And he's just like, I'm never going to get off this fucking farm. This shit sucks. I live in the middle of the desert. I fucking hate sand. It's coarse and rough and gets everywhere. And now I got these 2 new fucking slave robots to take care of. And, you know, it's just looking at that twin sunset, and the theme is playing, and it's the Force theme, and you feel it. You really just...
You do.
It punches you right in the heart. You're just like, God. It puts you right in his shoes, and you're like, that shit does suck. I hope things work out for you. And then, you know, less than 48 hours later, he kills 2 million people with 2 little torpedoes, little plasma torpedoes.
Sperms.
So 2 little, yeah, he's got hyperspermia, that guy.
Hey.
Leia's theme
I
is
like
also
going
like,
from like
really
the
good.
most emotionally rich scene in the movie to like a sperm joke.
Oh yeah,
That's great.
That's tension and release for you, buddy.
That's what happens when you go from the original trilogy to the prequels. You go from Luke looking out at the twin sunset to Jar Jar stepping in Dookie.
Yes.
And
I loved
the same
getting
franchise.
the CD copies of those soundtracks like 4 weeks before the movies would come
Yeah.
out.
And
then
they
the
had-
track list would
Yeah.
like deeply spoil. Like there's this song on the Phantom Menace soundtrack called Qui-Gon Jinn's Funeral. It's like, well, okay.
Don't get
Can't wait
attached to
to see
Liam
how that
Neeson. He's not going to be around. He's not going to be in the next one.
Well, I suppose this would be a good podcast for me to tell everyone what happened when I saw the Phantom Menace for the first time in theaters with my mom. Did I say this on a podcast before, Greg, or did I just tell you this?
But go ahead.
I did.
It's a great story.
Why would
Tony,
I
I
have
don't
told
think
this
has
on a
heard
different podcast that had
I
nothing
don't
to do
know
about
this one.
Star Wars? Okay, so I saw Phantom Menace in theaters when I was a kid with my my mom, and my mom, she's an interesting person, and I don't know, like she's a bit of a contrarian. So like, you know, even when I was a kid, we would like go and see movies, and she'd be like rolling her eyes, you know, the popular blockbuster, rolling her eyes like, this movie sucks or whatever.
Never ending story. What?
Yeah, she'll be like, you know, vocalizing this in the movie theater, right? I'm like, shut up! I'm trying to watch the movie, right? So like,
It's funny
did
because
this for
that's the opposite dynamic of what a mother and son in a movie theater usually is.
Yes.
Is the kid
yeah,
talking.
That's awesome.
Oh my god, when I was a kid, I was so fucking mad all the time. I was sitting there in the seat, just like, look, just don't fucking say anything, you know.
In defense, his
But
mom
she'd
was
always
a
say
huge
something.
fan of Mystery Science Theater 3000. She just wanted to riff.
I guarantee you, she has no idea what Mystery Science Theater is, but she wanted to riff over every fucking movie.
Riffing, it's irresistible.
I mean, that's the human condition, is just wanting to riff on everything. So I get it.
Yeah,
But yeah, there's a theater.
and
anyway,
in many ways,
continue.
it probably made
Yeah.
me the man I am today. But the
Episode 1, the Phantom
episode
Menace.
1. So we're watching the Phantom Menace, right? There's some riffing here and there that she's making along the way, but it's like whatever. And as a kid, I was into it. Like the pod racing was fucking was cool.
Yep.
Got me into podcasting.
We're starting a new
And,
podcast that's not a mockumentary, but it's like a sports podcast talking about the podcasters or about the pod
Wait, so, like,
racers
we
as if they were
co-
real. I did the same thing you just
commentate
did.
over like a fictional pod racing event.
No, it'd be like one of those basketball podcasts, you know, like Buckets, where they just
right,
get
right.
together and they just talk about pod racing in general.
Like fantasy football or something, but like fantasy pod racing.
Gascano's looking hot this season.
Pod Race Podcast.
Undervalued pick.
Sebulba is bubbling with anger, as per usual. How's this going to work out?
We just got $100 million Spotify deal to talk about.
Fake pod racing.
Sign up to DraftKings /Teamto Pangeles.
You know what? This is a fucking good idea, honestly.
Did you know Greg Proops is in the Phantom Menace? He's one of the commentators in the pod race. Right. Yeah, he's the guy that speaks English.
Yeah.
Tight.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Anyway, we were watching the Phantom Menace.
Anyway, watching Phantom Menace theater. We get to Qui-Gon's fucking funeral, right? We get to the scene where Qui-Gon gets fucking fatally injured and Obi-Wan loses his shit, fucking cuts Darth Maul in half, and he falls down the fucking pit. And then Obi-Wan runs over to Qui-Gon and they have this, this last moment together. And then as fucking Qui-Gon closes his eyes and drifts off, my mom makes a fucking fart noise with her mouth. She goes, and the whole theater is totally silent in this moment.
Did anyone laugh? Did anyone laugh when she did it?
Nobody laughed.
Oh, God. That's even worse. It
was this like an opening night screening?
This was like within the first week of it coming out.
Oh my God, that's so fucking funny.
Jordan,
and it's so funny because it took me years to appreciate how funny that was because I was so fucking pissed in the moment. It's like, you ruined this entire thing. I had fucking action figures of Qui-Gon Jinn, so all I could think about was this fucking fart noise. The entire time I'm playing with this, trying to recreate the scene, all I could think about is the fart noise. It overrode everything. It wasn't until years later that I could look back and be like, that's actually the funniest fucking thing that could have possibly happened. Yeah.
It could have potentially not bombed if she had prolonged the fart and made it into more of like a shart, because that's more accurate to what happens when you die. If she had just been like,
maybe,
like really stretch it out,
get in there.
Yeah. Like maybe people would have been like,
She starts like pouring her drink on the ground, like full on Foley.
Here's some Foley for you, George Lucas. This one's for free.
When we get off recording, I'm going to recreate that scene in my house and probably piss myself laughing. What a tale.
Honestly.
Actually, I'm curious. We've been talking about how like these are impressionable to young kids. Tony, as a father of a 3-year-old, as the background demonstrates, how is he? Have you shown him Star Wars? Like, what has he seen, and what's his? Does he dig it?
Yeah, we've watched some stuff before. My brother and I were like even adults, let alone married or had kids. We made a pact that we would continue the generational cycle of the uncle showing Star Wars, and that's been tough to honor because my son is older than my nephew, so Ben's gonna hit Star Wars age first, and I'm gonna have to wait. But I got my brother on a technicality. We've watched like some of the cartoons. He's seen some stuff. Like he really likes the like classic droids cartoons.
Oh yeah.
So C-3PO is currently his favorite character, although that matching shirt we have has X-Wings on it, and he's been telling people that X-Wings are his favorite character. And it's like, well, they're not really a character, buddy. They're just a ship that the characters pilot. And now after this podcast episode,
you'll understand when you're older, but it's really more of a phallic metaphor than anything.
Yeah, Ben, you'll get that when you take English classes. But
when you go to biology class with Greg as your fucking teacher,
right? But yeah, he digs it. He likes the droids. He's into like some of the space combat stuff that are in those cartoons, but
he hasn't seen any of the like Skywalker saga proper.
No, we haven't really watched any of the mainline movies. We're playing through the Skywalker Lego game that came out in like, I don't know, 21 or 22. So he knows the characters. I mean, every once in a while he'll walk around and be like, I'm like Han Solo. And I'll be like, cool, that's awesome.
Just wait till you see him in the flesh and not as a Lego.
Yeah, you're going to love him in episode 7, buddy. Just don't take notes on what his kid does to him. Can't do that to me. Yeah, but he's into it. I'm excited to, for him to see more. I'm trying, to not push too much of my stuff onto him, but I'll play him an Animal Collective song in the car. I'll let him watch a White Stripes video. He's around when I'm playing Star Wars video games, and he seems to be into a lot of it. He doesn't really have any toys yet. That should be the next move.
Well, you're going to have to spend an arm and a leg to get any good toys because they all came out 20, 30 years ago.
Still got mine.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Please
Still
don't.
got mine, including that melted action figure that necessitated the Obi-Wan Kenobi Firebug brother.
And that's going to be his favorite, actually, because his name is Ben, for no other reason.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah, he's into it.
That's awesome.
Wouldn't it have been funny if it was like Old Ben Kenobi? Or it's like Obi-Wan Kenobi. I wonder if he means Old Ben Kenobi. And it turns out it was actually his brother. Like,
Blaze.
Oh, I just took my brother's name. Oh, right, Blaze, sorry.
That's why he doesn't remember owning a droid. It was a different guy in the prequels. That was his brother.
I was also a Jedi in exile.
Yeah, Blaze is just hanging out in some hut in like Tatooine, like smoking his fucking bong with the lightsaber firepower that he has.
Yeah. The stormtroopers didn't kill Owen and Beru. Blaze was there, and he forgot that he put his lit joint down and the whole shit. Occupational hazard.
Yeah, oh shit! Sensing a disturbance in the Force.
I should blame this on the Empire. Yeah,
that's a really good Alec Baldwin. Jesus
Alec
Christ.
Baldwin. Dude,
Alec
that'd be hilarious. That'd be so funny if
Alec Baldwin in The Departed as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. He's holding the blaster. He's like, "Where's the projectile?" They're like, "We're gonna animate it in later." He's like, "It's not real enough. I need to feel the lethality of the weapon I'm holding."
No.
Oh
no.
Hey, I think obviously that was a tragedy, and I would hate to be on that crew, but like. It's like David Carradine hanging himself while masturbating. It's never going to not be brought up after it happened. Sorry.
True.
And the more you can kind of distance yourself from
just like the Star Wars holiday special. It happened. It's never going away. You will never forget.
And just like the Star Wars holiday special, the more you distance yourself from the tragedy of it, you can appreciate the comedy of it.
There you go. Tragedy plus time equals comedy.
That's right.
Exactly.
I think the great tragedy of the holiday special is that clowning on the holiday special takes energy away from clowning on the Star Wars Christmas album.
Oh, actually, I was going to bring up, you have some of those.
Are we familiar with
You have some of
this
those novelty albums. Yes, I've actually heard that one, but like
featuring the hit single "What Do You
vinyl.
Get a Wookiee for Christmas?" (parentheses if he already has a comb).
If he already has a comb,
It's insane.
It's a banger.
I'm aware of it, but I've never really given it the time of day because, well, for obvious reasons.
It's really funny.
Tony, were you the one that had those like storybook record things where it was like, now you can show something off on camera. Ha ha.
I do.
Yeah.
Wow.
The story of Star Wars.
The story of Star Wars. These are awesome.
Is that just someone reading like the script?
Well, so there's a narrator.
It's like a short radio play, basically. Right?
Yeah, and they splice in like dialogue and sound effects. And Ben and I did listen to these around May the 4th, and he was super into them.
So whenever he actually sees it happen, he's going to be even more impressed and into it.
Yeah, well, he's gonna be like, McClunky, that's not what Han says there.
Wait, but does he know about the Vader parentage twist?
I mean, we listen to them while like playing with Thomas the Tank Engine toys. I don't pretend he's retaining very much, but I mean,
it sounds like you're raising a kid a lot like me, which I gotta say, props. I was both. At that age, I was both into Star Wars and Thomas the Train. So thank you. Thank you for
I think you might run
the
risk here, though, that when he finally gets around to watching the movies, he's going to be like, wait a minute, I thought Thomas was his dad.
This is great and everything, but when do we get to the trains?
Yeah, okay, so when is the train part? Yeah, I know.
Actually, you know what?
As Darth Vader...
Show him Thomas and the Magic Railroad. That's a banger.
Oh, that's a classic.
It's not a great movie, but like for kids, it rules.
It's fun. No,
all the magic stuff.
I love the train stuff.
That's what we should talk about next time we have you on. Is Thomas and the Magic Railroad with
I'm down.
Alec Baldwin.
Oh shit!
There you go. Here's a kind of a stray piece of information I have to burden someone else with knowing.
That's what this podcast is made for.
On Amazon Prime, there's a lot of Thomas episodes from like every series they've ever done, and the subtitles refer to Sir Topham Hatt as the Fat Conductor.
The Fat Conductor. That's because they're taking
so like when
UK
he's talking,
subtitles.
the identifier is the Fat Conductor, which I think is funny.
That's because they just did the subtitles for the UK version and didn't bother to change any of it. That has to be because they have different narrators.
Totally.
There's like Ringo Starr and George Carlin for that era.
Yes.
They just, for whatever region it's in. So yeah, I remember finding that out. I was like, he has a name. He's not just the fat guy. Can you imagine if he had called it Journey of the Wills, or it's like, Journey of the Wills, The Adventures of Luke Starkiller, as whatever the original long form title of Star Wars was before he was just like the Star Wars. No, drop the. Just Star Wars. It's cleaner. Hey, an Aaron Sorkin reference.
Come on, you can't finish that circle any better.
The circle theory about the prequels. Everything
it's like poetry. You guys,
it rhymes. Every stanza sort of rhymes with the previous line, and I don't know. Maybe it'll work. Mr. George Plinkett Lucas, ladies and gentlemen,
as embodied by Mr. Plinkett.
That's his name, George Plinkett Lucas.
It's a good name.
It's a hyphenated last name. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, it's no Dexter Jetster, but
Not the most offensive part of that movie to me.
I mean, it's really the most realistic part of that movie is that there's a fat fry cook hanging out in the slums of the city. Like, yeah.
Just like using one of his extra hands to scratch his ass.
Yeah, I don't know why he knows this space wizard. Apparently they're tight, but like, I don't know. Is Obi-Wan just going around gathering informants? I think the Emperor might turn out to be a Sith Lord and overthrow the galaxy. So just in case, I'm going to need confidants I can go to for information.
I like the
why does he know how to get
waitress droid?
Yeah, but why does Dexter Jetster even know about Camino? Oh yeah, I went there once when I was thirsty and needed a drink. They said, "Hey, there's a whole water planet right here."
He did. There's a Michelin star restaurant on Camino. He stodged there before getting the diner.
Oh, was he working craft services for the construction crew that built that clone facility?
Exactly. Oh, do you mean Topeka City?
Is there actually a name for that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I think I heard that somewhere. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Oh God.
No, they in the
they get
Star
into
Wars
that
Battlefront video games, they name
I thought you were gonna say the Clone Wars series because that's actually a plot point, right? They
probably name drop it there too.
We're running out of Jango Fett's DNA to make new clones. It's like, go track down Boba. Just have him spray a little something into a Dixie cup. What's the problem? I don't understand.
Just get that kid in an X-Wing. Have him fire a proton torpedo.
No, he's busy flying Slave 1 around. Remember Slave 1?
Pour a little out. R.I.P.
Oh, they don't call it that anymore, by the way.
No, they call it what is it? Is it Spitfire or something like that?
Oh, I didn't know it had a tag name. I thought it was literally just like Boba Fett spaceship.
Fire spray.
Boba Fett Starfighter or something.
Yeah. No, they renamed it for a Lego release when Book of Boba Fett was coming out, and they've retconned that name into all the other stuff. And they're real people that are breathing the same oxygen as the three of us who are losing sleep over that.
Well, I'm losing sleep over it, so it's one of the three of us, actually.
Hell yeah.
No.
Greg, when you're in your 30s, brother, you're going to be so unburdened by that kind of shit.
I'm getting close. Don't worry.
You'll be worried about waking up in pain. You won't have time to care about the name of Boba Fett's spaceship.
I'll have you
Greg's
know.
already there. He just threw his back out.
I threw my back out like a week ago, like 9 days ago, and I'm still dealing with the residual aches and pains. So I'm getting there, like I said. But I guess Anakin was. What do we call Anakin though? Whenever he's living on Tatooine under, Watto is his, I guess, master. What would that make Anakin then? If he can't leave and he's forced to do labor for no money.
Shmi Watto's fire spray.
Indentured servant?
That's his involuntary colleague.
Can we call Boba Fett's ship Indentured Servant 1? We want to be politically correct. I mean, come on.
See,
I know
and
he's a
again,
space slave, but like, let's be
not to
PC
circle
about the
back
space
to
slaves.
being ugly about the sequels, but like this is the level that Disney is like micromanaging the franchise, and they didn't fucking write 3 movies before they put them out. Like, make it make sense.
Well, that's the response to like people that were boycotting this is when all that like woke shit started in 2015 when the Force Awakens were coming out and dumb white guys were going, the main character is a black guy and a woman. They ruined Star Wars.
Yeah.
Where's the white people? And
Not
so
the
Disney,
best
I
of
think,
us
saw that and
coming out
they
those
saw
days.
the Trump era and progressive politics and PC culture and all that emerging, and they go, we want people to like us and keep giving us money, so we're going to appease them. Also, we're going to film this Mulan live action remake in like one of the most genocide heavy parts of China. But you know what? Don't worry about that. We're going to have our first gay character for the 27th time, so don't worry, guys. We're progressive.
Global market money spends the same.
Yeah. And it's just like any possible thing that'll upset someone. It's like, okay, what about all the racial stereotypes? Nope, gotta leave them in because they're characters in the movie. Okay, well then maybe we should just not be changing any of this because it's almost like it existed in a different time and context, and now 50 years later, we can look back and go, wow, that was a different time and context. It doesn't reflect the values of this major billion-dollar corporation that got started because of a fucking cartoon where a little mouse who's driving a steamboat was beating the shit out of other animals, and somehow he became the protagonist of that fucking everything.
You know, Greg,
make it make sense.
Talk about full circle. You've given me food for thought on a parallel. Arc is an album by Animal Collective. And thank you for watching A Musician and a Filmmaker. It was a pleasure having you on,
what?
Tony.
No, you have to explain what the hell you just said.
I'm talking about retconning because things don't make sense at a certain period
Jordan,
in human history.
Look, I want the blackface episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia back on Hulu just as badly as you do, okay? But that we can't always get what we want. So you know what? The past has happened. We just have to deal with it. And that's why I choose to watch 4K 77 because I can. And George Lucas
and you should, and everyone should. That's the better version.
Yes.
That's the better
Don't
version.
give Disney and George Lucas any more money. If he's not going to let you watch the movie the way you want to see it, steal the fuck out of it. It's the most profitable movie ever made. Like, isn't it like, like they say like top highest grossing films of all time, unadjusted for inflation, it's like Avengers Endgame, Titanic, like stuff that's come out in the last 20, 30 years, mostly the last like 10. But then if you adjust it for inflation, it's like Dr. Zhivago, Gone with the Wind, and Star Wars is at like $3 trillion.
Nice.
Something crazy like, or not trillion, sorry, billion. No movies ever. Even money was not worth so little a century
I honestly
ago.
didn't even question it.
Yeah, sure.
If that's how
trillion,
bad the inflation
I'd
was, we'd be fucked. That's maybe George Lucas is an auteur. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he has never made a questionable decision ever in his life.
I think that maybe it's possible that it's us that are the idiots, you know? We've watched George Lucas's movies and just completely missed the point, you know?
Well, I thought you were going to say like, well, oh yeah, okay. You want to sit here and you want to shit here and complain about Star Wars.
Shit right here.
You want to pull your pants down and shit while you're complaining about Star Wars so badly
on this
Why don't
podcast
you go make Star
to
Wars,
prove a point that I can make better content by taking a shit on this podcast.
Here's your fucking prequel trilogy for you.
Definitely better than episode 9.
2. Oh, here comes Revenge of the Shit. Oh, little diarrhea.
Oh, no, somehow Palpatine returned and he stinks.
Woo. But like, yeah, you go make Star Wars then, motherfucker. If you know how to do it so good, go make your own Star. You come up with a whole universe that changes the world.
I'm working on the cinematic universe of Basement Shark right now, and it is going to be.
But I'm saying that from George Lucas's perspective. Is that what you would reply to him if he finally snapped?
George Lucas snapped?
If George Lucas crashed out and was like, okay, well then go make your own fucking Star Wars then, asshole. I don't give a shit. Fuck you. I put the Ewoks in there because I want a little more money. I don't give a fuck. Would you just be like, well, actually, I have a series called Basement Shark. I'm going to make it all with AI. Actually, We can blame George Lucas for AI if you think about it.
Yeah.
Like the tiny domino is George Lucas wanting to rip off Flash Gordon, and the big domino is Google Vio.
100%.
In a way, it is his fault.
Yeah, that's the response that's my response to George Lucas.
Thanks, George.
Like, listen, buddy.
So Jordan,
I'm making a fucking basement shark cinematic universe about a shark that lives in a fucking basement. AI's doing it, and it's all your fault. How do you feel about that? I want to make a killing off of this.
I still have $5 billion, so I don't really give a fuck.
Yeah. Hey, you want in on this? You want in on this deal, George? And he'd be like, yeah, probably. After I bury my
edit
wife.
it 40 years after it comes out?
Yeah.
Sure, dog.
Yeah.
Just type a prompt, bro.
Can I use AI in the future to then retcon the AI that you used back in the past?
Yes.
Anything you want, Mr. Plinkett. My name's George Lucas, okay?
Open your mouth all the way when you talk then. Well, okay. We're talking about AI. Would you... Okay, so
we're going to open this can of worms right at the tail end of the podcast.
We are, because George Lucas is the kind of guy who, if the Star Wars prequels, let's say, hadn't been made in the late 90s, early 2000s, let's say he waited, for some reason... 40 years after the original trilogy to make the prequels. And he goes, we've got this, the computers can just generate the images. We don't even need a guy to sit there and animate one element and then have another guy animate the lighting and another guy to do the particles. Like, he could just, can you just type in Yoda jumps around with his little laser sword into the computer and let it sit there and render? Like, he would have. He would have put the money. 100%. He would have gotten to this point so much faster than, like, any of these other companies, because he would have, like, put the A&R money and like got the right people to actually make it happen. If he had the ability to do it, he would. He would not be able to stop himself. So like 100%. We should be we sit here and bitch about the prequels. We should be glad that they were made when they were, and it wasn't like so much worse. That's a good point.
That's I think about, like, there's an interviewer in one of the behind the scenes docs about Attack of the Clones where he's like bragging that they didn't make a single clone trooper costume.
Yeah.
And, like, that, okay, on the one hand, that's cool, but, like, if you kind of place that in the way technology is interfering with the arts now, it's like, yeah, you're right, he was the small domino. Yeah, I buy that.
Because then that led to, we don't even need to build an Iron Man suit. We can just build, like, up to here, and we're good. We'll just put little markers and animate the rest, you know?
Yeah.
That's true.
So, just let's credit to George Lucas where it's due. He didn't... happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, right place where AI existed, and we got.
He was instrumental in ruining fucking movies.
Now that being said, I'm looking forward to episodes 10, 11, and 12, which will be generated via AI, and we could actually get them sooner than we can get them at the same time.
We can get them later tonight.
We could
just type those prompts in right now.
And then just send the file to like Cinemark or whoever, and we'll be good.
They won't be any less coherent than the other sequels.
Right. If anything, I would not doubt that J.J. Abrams, when he said fuck it, when it came to like pulling off episode 9 and satisfying everyone, if part of that wasn't being like, we found this new proprietary technology that can actually generate a story structure based off of a simple prompt. That would explain why episode 9 is so like, gotta go here to go here to go here to go here. Like, that's what an AI thinks a movie is. Yep. Like, it looked at the first Star Wars and went, oh, well, they go from point A to B to C. And it's like, well, there wasn't a space dagger. There wasn't the crashed remains of the Death Star that lines up with the space dagger and the Sith planet that you can only find if you plug the space dagger into a space GPS that allows... Like, what? A human being came up with these ideas and then said, yes, that's good. Let's go with that. Let's get the celluloid out and commit to it. As much as we want to sit here and say George Lucas ruined Star Wars with the prequels, or other people want to say that. Mm-hmm. Number one, he gets the names right. None of these new writers can get the fucking names right. They don't understand how his brain works to get from like a human name or a location to like some weird fucked up alien species, or even just like, hi, I'm Kreef Garga or whatever, like Glup Shido, right? Like that same kind of like naming scheme. Anytime a Disney character or a writer tries to do it, it just doesn't work. They think, well, singular syllable and then 2 syllables. It doesn't matter if like a human mouth can say it comfortably. It's a space alien. What do you want? Like, dude knows what he was doing.
But I will say Glub Shido is really fucking top.
Well,
top tier.
He's my favorite character actually from the EU.
That's my boy. Young Gulp.
Glup. Come on.
Glup Shido.
His name is not Gulp Shido. I mean, you're the one who knows the fucking... You know the name of the clone facility on Camino, and yet you don't know Glup Shido? Come on.
But now that Gulp Shido has been said out loud, I'm kind of more on that side, to be honest with you.
Now I'm picturing...
I might be like low-grade dyslexic because I've only ever read that name as Gulp Shido.
Possibly. But also, have we considered that that's just the name of the giant cow that Luke milks in The Last Jedi to get the, like right out of its teat? That could be a Glup Shido. Maybe that's what that species is called. We don't know.
Grab a quick gulp.
Or do we know? Let's check Wikipedia and find out for sure. Is there a Glup Shido Wikipedia article? All right. Let's... I think we've talked sufficiently about
conclusion.
Star Wars. In conclusion,
did we learn anything here today? Did we learn anything today?
Oh, we learned that Star Wars is
fans
good.
Of Star Wars.
Star Wars is good. We learned that the age-old adage, nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans, which is a little broad. I don't hate Star Wars, but I think what they really mean is it's easier for the fans of something who love the way it was to make fun of things when it's different.
It's because we care.
That's right.
It's because we care.
Yeah,
it's not because, I'm not going to commit a mass shooting because they killed off Kylo Ren. It's just, no. It's just, you can just be like, okay, fine, whatever. You had an opportunity to make a cool character, whatever, fine. Star Wars is still going to persist, and I'm glad that it will. And like poetry, it will rhyme, and there will be some iconoclast filmmaker who comes up with an idea no one's ever seen before. Or actually probably not. Because I think 50 years is almost passed in Star Wars, and I think that's almost impossible now. So maybe an AI will, fail the Turing test or pass, however that works, finally become sentient and be like, a truly original idea has been born, and it didn't take a human brain to do it. And if that happens, I'm going to put a lightsaber up to my face and turn it on.
Do two from either side.
Oh, there you go. Well, then would they stab each other, or would you sort of stagger them so that they don't go how does that work?
That wouldn't be your problem.
What happens when you turn two lightsabers on and the tips touch as they're? Would they just bounce off each other?
Docking lightsabers?
It wouldn't be the first time that anyone...
That's into the Freudian reading of A New Hope, Greg.
Yeah, you're talking about sexuality in Star Wars, now you're docking lightsabers.
Next week on A Musician and a Filmmaker.
All right, yeah, so thanks, Tony, for being on
Wait, would we
the show
recommend Star Wars?
Oh, no.
To anyone who hasn't seen it? Okay.
Yeah.
No.
What would you rate it?
Okay, wait. Do you
Give
mean
me your
like the
Letterboxd
motion picture
rating.
or any of the
Star Wars the
movies?
motion picture, yes. 1977.
Yeah, I would recommend it to if you like adventure type movies. Or really like Marvel movies. I mean,
if you want to see where they got everything.
We're too deep into the third hour to go deeper than this. But if you like superhero movies, you would like Star Wars: A New Hope.
Right.
I would recommend.
Would you recommend Star Wars as the franchise as a whole?
No.
Okay. That's
no.
fair.
If A New Hope grabs you, run with it. But if you're like, yeah, that was a fun movie, I liked it. You got an hour and 50 minutes of perfection. Don't ruin it.
Yeah, I think it's. I would agree.
It's 2 hours.
I would agree with. It's 2 hours. I would agree with Tony. I think that the original trilogy is such a masterpiece, and it's something that will last the test of time as this amazing trilogy of films that was groundbreaking, way ahead of its time. Still manages to have this level of charm and relatability, despite the fact that everything is super antiquated and old looking. It's just it's a tale as old as time.
It's timeless.
And I think it's great. But then you get the prequels, you get the sequel trilogy, you get the kind of offshoot ones. Although Rogue One, fucking awesome. The countless TV shows. It's just a lot. It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Start with the first ones.
Say. Yeah, start with the original trilogy and then watch Andor and then stop. Also, Jordan, I like that you were making that point while that drawstring was clung onto your hat from when you bent
It
down
was?
to pet your cat.
I was wondering
the
why
whole
it
time. It was.
I was hoping that it was just swaying so I could hypnotize
string has
people
been stressing me out the whole recording.
How do you think I feel? It's there every single month.
I'm like, oh my God, do something with it.
Greg, you could have told me,
Well, you could have told me when my microphone was all robotic sounding and I was interviewing Avi Terror and I sounded like an idiot who didn't know how to set up a Zoom call. So,
well, I don't know. Your
tit
voice
for
is
tat,
really robotic,
motherfucker. So. All right. Well, yeah, Star Wars good, Star Trek bad. Star Wars is love, Star Wars is life, and most importantly, it's about family. And really, that's what's so important about it.
That's
family,
right.
Family who gets quasi-incestual before realizing, oh, shit. Sorry.
Hug your brothers and sisters tonight.
Kiss them right on the cheek. Kiss them on the mouth, really.
Kiss them wherever you like.
As long as you do it out of spite to someone who's being an asshole, it's okay. It's not incest.
Who you'll later marry and have an evil son with.
Right. And then you could be like, you remember that time that you kissed your brother to try to, like, make me jealous? What the fuck was that? Can you stop bothering me? I'm trying to establish a new republic. God.
Leia's talking to Han. It's like, listen, you've completely ruined our son. He resents you, and like he's just filled with angst and anger, and it's turning into this fucking thing who knows where this is going to spiral. Yeah, well, guess what? You kissed your brother.
That's why he's so fucking
she's not
he gets it from you.
Argument.
Yeah.
The Solo household, Han has that whole convo on lock.
Totally, yeah.
That was why Kylo went evil, is because Luke wouldn't admit it. He's like, you did kiss my mom, right? Like, that's kind of weird, right? And that's why Luke brought the lightsaber to his cabin. He's like, I can't let anyone know. I have to stop him before he tells people that I might have popped a little bit of a chub when my sister kissed me that one time. I didn't know.
You felt it, though, right? You always knew, is what you said later.
I guess feel everything through the Force. Really, the Force should have let him know ahead of time, but I guess he needed more training. But
that's right.
Well, Leia said she always knew.
Somehow I always knew. Oh, okay.
Interesting. Yeah.
It says more about you than it does about me, I guess. But all right. I guess we're both the children of Space Hitler. So I guess let's fix that real quick, and then we'll sort this out later.
You know what? Star Wars is really about problem solving, I think, is what we can.
It is.
Yeah.
If something bothers you, you spend millions of dollars to clarify why that is the way it is, or you just change it. And that's really what we should all strive for is, don't live with your mistakes. If you made a mistake, just sell a bunch of toys and then spend the money to fix your mistake. And then you'll live a happy life.
In any which direction you please.
Yeah. Like Red Tails.
Sure.
Yeah.
So thanks for watching A Musician in a Podcast. Next month we'll be here to talk about Red Tails. And we'll have as our guest
Uncle Bill.
Yes,
Uncle Bill can throw down about Red Tails.
He'll have a lot to say about Red Tails. That guy specifically.
Well, thank you, Tony.
Your uncle is Dickie Moltisanto, isn't it? From Sopranos reference. Sorry, go ahead. Do it.
Tony, thank you very much for joining us again.
My pleasure.
Great. It's great having you on here, and that number 3 behind you. I don't see it anymore, but it's great because you do feel like the third member of this show, and it's a pleasure to talk to you about.
Don't make his head too big, because now he's going to start asking for a third of the ad revenue, and he's going to have to be on every month. And I mean,
I don't need the ad revenue. We just need to do an episode about Twisters.
Yeah, wait, there's ad revenue. What do you? I wasn't aware of this.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.